as the sun goes down on yet another day where the hostages are still captive, I think of when people close their eyes, even if they're not a soldier, and they have, some of that shadow of October 7th over our hearts and minds. Hamas attacks, the invasion, them taking children, Holocaust survivors hostage. Many of them are still in those dungeons of darkness. And suddenly with these hostage negotiations that are underway, you have this mix of hope, devastation, anguish, and then will they get released through political, through military? And it's been a really, really hard time, and it's been a difficult negotiations in the history. I mean, radical jihadists do take hostages historically. Something I can talk about later, but I think back to the 5-year captivity of Gilad Shalit, and then the Jibril agreement of 1985 of 1,150 prisoners exchanged for 3 Israeli soldiers. So you see in our history, there's something in our DNA that has developed. It's trauma that is developed inside us as we think of about 100 still, right? Still being held there. And so you remember that there was 105 released during November 2023 truce. We thought that might be the end, right? The rest might get released. 4 more hostages were released earlier than that. 8 more hostages have been rescued by the army alive. 38 bodies have been recovered instead of 3 mistakenly killed by Israeli forces, and which is so horrible and so sad. But I think that this whole thing of releasing 1,150 prisoners in exchange for the 3 Israeli soldiers, it's like, I call it the Gilad Shalit deal, and I'm so glad he's released. I'm so glad that he's playing basketball. I think my brother knew him. My brother's the one who has the Arm Israeli Citizens charity. And it's really people who've passed the proper checks and balances, but just don't have the money to afford a self-defense pistol or whatever. He helps them to get that. So check out Arm Israeli Citizens, AIC. Now, October 7th shattered, it pushed into psychological warfare where targeting civilians is the goal. You think of the Twin Towers, the trauma there when civilians were targeted by radical jihadists. And I think that no matter what, we're taught from young children, pikuach nefesh, which is everything to save a life. One person is worth the whole world. That's a teaching in that we're raised in here in Israel. And so, but yet, swapping all these terrorists, and you wonder, how is that a wise thing to do? But you have the families of hostages. I saw them recently, how they're just saying, we must do everything to release them. And I agree. And that's why I'm going back to Gaza yet again, to continue this search to release these hostages, even more than the work I've been doing up near Syria, in Lebanon. I believe that this is such a thing that I pray for, and I hope you pray with me for that. But the government just needs to balance security, diplomacy, and this moral obligation to bring back our citizens and look at all this. Hamas is backed by Iran, and they operate alongside Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Kataib in Iraq, and the rebels in Syria, and you see what's going on with the Houthis in Yemen. The 7-front war that we're doing, the public opinion, the Facebook, the social media is also a front. Now, I want to just say this. The world is also, they have a lot of opinions about Israel's not doing good enough. We're doing our best. 74% of Israelis support a comprehensive deal to secure the hostages, even if it means stopping all the war. That's a big amount of Israel. Military rescues are very rare, very risky. The Entebbe raid was one where Netanyahu's brother, Yoni Netanyahu, he was, he was able to he died, but they were able to rescue all these hostages in Entebbe, Uganda, you remember, that were taken by Palestinians, by radical jihadists. The Nachshon Wachsman was a failed rescue. And so I say, hold on to hope, hold on to prayer. It's a new year. It's a new season. Stay resilient in the face of tragedy. It's been a year and 3 months. Don't give up now. New hostages discussion, negotiation is underway. And I just pray that people will that this hope won't be dashed. What is that called? Hope deferred causes the heart to grow, to be sad. How does that verse go? Write it in the comments below. Help me out. I know a lot of Bible, but I'm not perfect with every verse. So I'm glad to see that Facebook is now saying, look, we want to be more like what Musk was doing with Twitter, with X. We want to be able to open this up. We want to be able to not have all this blocking. You don't know how many people, though, say wrong things about us, but he's saying he wants to change some of these blocks. Many people are falsely blocking, our content. I mean, if you share each post, you really help us to win this war. Go to Faithful Galileans. Click on apply to join the Ambassador Academy. It's a life-changing interaction with the real people. I know, and Israel is multifaceted here. You get to see, be on adventures that just no one gets to be on. And you get to see firsthand the prophecy of Ezekiel 37. I will gather the people of Israel from among the nations. You get to see Jeremiah, be part of Jeremiah 31. He who scattered Israel will gather them and watch over them like a shepherd. So much that the nations can do and must do in this time. So sign up, faithfulgalileans.com. And friends, let's be part of the story, the journey together.